I'm going back to the part where I feel like you're a perfectionist.
I am definitely a perfectionist.
Where's that perfectionist come from?
It took me a long time to figure out how to do that.
It's tough to be a perfectionist.
But that's because that's part of what makes you great.
Yeah.
But you have to know how to control it.
We're doing it, David. How
It's
are you?
official. It's
It is.
official.
It is. Welcome to Coming from the Heart podcast, David Schoenwetter. Did I screw it up?
Schoenwetter, Schoenwetter.
See, I got nervous because I said it right a minute ago. Welcome, welcome. You are this creative music genius person. I met you on Instagram. I saw your stuff. I wanted to talk to you. So, how are you today? And welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, and really excited we could connect. And it's always an honor to be invited for these kinds of interviews.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So, am I going to screw up this? NVIDIA.
No, we got that one.
Okay, I got that. Okay, shame on me. I should be pronouncing these correctly. Okay, so here we are. We're chatting together. We connected what, a couple months ago on Instagram. And I thought, oh my God, he's a DJ, Ultra Record official. I'm reading off your stuff. Beatport, chatting, DJ, producer. You're amazing at what you do. Tell everybody who you are, and I'll stop talking. What's up? What's up? Tell everybody a little bit about you, your journey, music, and all the cool, amazing, famous people that I wrote down on a piece of paper that I want to talk about.
Well, let's see. Well, first and foremost, I'm a human, so that's always good. It's a good start, right? Uh, but as a creative, I have a pretty wide range, and I have kind of two different lanes that I continue to go down simultaneously. So one is as a DJ, an artist in the dance music space under Invita, and that's where I do all my performances and my dance releases. And then I'm also a multi-genre producer, songwriter, mix engineer for a lot of different people. So I started off in uh, you know in pop music. I started off at an old school analog studio here in New York City, and I was an intern, and then an assistant, and then an engineer, and then just worked my way up from there and diverged, and life takes you left and right and all around, and here we are.
Here you are, and you're so young. My goodness, to have done all that. Yes, I,
Thank you.
I think so. So, okay, how did this all start? Like, what is your deal? Where'd you grow up? Music obviously has been and continues to be a large part of your life.
Yeah, my family raised me playing piano. They encouraged piano lessons, and I was happy enough to do it. I was somewhat reluctant. I never loved piano. I enjoyed it at times, but I was never completely in love with the instrument. But I stuck with it for a while, and then I transitioned to guitar, took some classical guitar lessons for a little bit, some electric guitar lessons, played in a band in high school, and then I also started to play drums in high school. And I really loved drums. Drums was my love. Drums was something I could instinctively sit down at and actually play along to songs on the radio. Everything else I kind of always had to work out a little bit, but drums were very natural. And so I did that in high school, loved it, played in a couple of bands. And then I remember the year, the year that everyone was supposed to be applying for college, or the year before that, thinking about what I wanted to do. And I was like, music was always something I loved because I was playing in bands. I was also um, making beats after school on my laptop, and just kind of like, experimenting with that. And I'm like, I can't really imagine doing anything else. So let's go to school for music. And I realized that for the programs that I wanted to do, I needed to audition on an instrument. And I was like, crap, what are we going to do here? Because it's a pretty high level that you need to be at. And So I called up my piano teacher and I'm like, hey, I've got, 6 months. I got to get ready for college auditions. Like, let's pick this up and let's do it. So I worked pretty hard and got ready and ended up getting in and went to school for music and production. And yeah, that was the beginning of that, and I've never really looked back.
Wow. Okay, so where did you go to school for music and so
I went
forth?
to school upstate in SUNY Fredonia, so it's
Oh, okay.
just to Buffalo where I grew up, and it was about an hour away. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, so you're part of the music school there. It's a 4-year program, and you're basically a performance major for the first year, and then you diverge and you do your production, and there's also a lot of math and science built into it and everything.
Ah.
The Bachelor of Science degree, technically.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because math and science, when I was teaching at Stevens Institute of Technology, they have a really decent music and tech department. And I always used to say, well, music is so analytical or math oriented. I don't think a lot of people realize that. So were you good or you have to be good? And I just want to comment on the audition. That must have been tough.
Yeah, the audition was nerve-wracking. The audition was, and I mean, I auditioned at different schools, right? They were all a little different, but yes, it was not my favorite part of the process.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Okay, we get through it, don't we?
What
It
about,
was an opportunity for growth.
right? What about the math aspect? Are you good at math?
Yeah, I was always pretty decent at math and science. That was always those subjects always came easily to me. You know,
Okay. Wow.
unlike history or geography or these other things, those would be
Okay.
in my
Okay.
weak area, right? So, but yeah,
Yeah.
math and science were always came naturally. And yeah, math is music. Music is math. They're pretty much synonymous in many ways. So
So yeah, I think people don't really realize that. So look, you could have been a scientist or been an engineer. Look at that.
could have been, could have been.
What do you think about that? Do you
I
think
mean,
like,
a lot of people, I mean, I don't know about a lot, but many that started off in what I was doing evolved more into like designing loudspeakers or designing like being acousticians or whatever. And it's very much physics, right? So
engineering? Yeah, totally.
they're,
So cool. So okay, so you auditioned, you did your thing. When did you, okay, and you mentioned the drums. My son actually played drums. So I think that that's like a whole other experience, being that I've never, played drums, I always vocalized and sang, but it has the beat thing going on. And
Mhm.
then so explore that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, drums and rhythm, that's what life is based, that's what our bodies are based on, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and I think that that's why I have eventually, after a lot of different, genres and different things, I've come back to dance music or come arrived at dance music being a focal point of what I'm doing because that was always, I think, my first love was drums. And
Yeah. Who were the artists at that time when you were in school? Like who you were like, oh my God, I love this person. And oh my God, what if I want to talk about the writing part because you're like this multifaceted music person. It's
many
like,
layers, many layers,
right.
like an onion.
But I think you kind of need to have that package. But like, okay, back to my thought on my question. Who did you like? Who was
Yeah, so I grew up with rock music. Rock was my jam. The
ah
dance music came later, but yeah, I loved indie rock, and I loved uh,
okay.
Nails. I was like an industrial rock fan. They were one of my first concerts.
Oh my God.
Nirvana, um, the Smashing Pumpkins, Foo Fighters. I loved Lou Reed.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. I
and so
got
this is like what I
it.
admired growing up.
Right. What do you think they all had in common that you were enamored by?
I think the songwriting is incredible among all those artists. I mean, they're very different, obviously, but like they're skilled storytellers and melody writers, all of them.
Ah,
But I also love, I mean, I think what I was always drawn to specifically with Nine Inch Nails was like their rhythm. Their rhythm is crazy, and I also love these creative uses of distortion that I think all these bands had. A lot of their different elements were distorted in different ways. I mean, Nirvana's guitar tone, Nine Inch Nails is a very aggressive kind of like wall of sound, a lot of their production. And yeah, like the Smashing Pumpkins use distortion very creatively as well. So I always liked this uh, kind of like smearing of sonic textures to create a painting. And I think that
Huh.
that's something that a lot of those artists did. And it's something that I have developed as a core part of my own production and mixing techniques now that I've evolved to this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say okay, so the similarity of what they were about as to what you do now and to current artists. I was just curious about that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like as I've to where I am now, right, is a lot of production and mixing for many different genres, but I've found that I'm using similar techniques across multiple genres, and I realize that it's just the sound that I'm trying to create that I have like inherently inside of me, and I like when sound when you can kind of like go swimming in it,
Okay.
and it's
Yeah, yeah.
this three-dimensional immersive experience. So
Amazing.
um, that's what I try to create, no matter the genre, and I think uh, it's just that's when sound is the most powerful to me is when it completely envelops you, and I want you to feel like you've been washed over with a wave when you hear something that I've worked on.
Ah, the way you describe it. Okay, could you hum? Could you hum something? Like I'm with you. Go ahead. I'm interrupting the humming. Go ahead. Okay, I'm cool. Yeah, I think I think creatives connect. That's why I'm so connected to you in so many ways, is that as you're storytelling, as you're presenting this to me and to our audience, to my audience here, is that you want the listener to, how do I say this? You want the listener to move beyond their present life in the moment. And what I know, and you know, what music does to us, it soothes the soul. Yes?
Exactly, exactly. It's emotion and it's an experience. It's not just music. It's an emotional, spiritual, physical experience, multisensory.
Yes, 100%. And in all types of genres of music, it's funny because now my 22-year-old has gotten me into EDM music, where I really, probably would have listened to Summit or Fisher or any of these artists. And I have him to thank because I was always looking for different music to work out to. When I was stuck in my horrific life of vertigo and I was dealing with what I was dealing with 4 years ago, I gravitated to so many different artists that would take me away from
Hmm.
my pain of what I was feeling. So touch on that for a moment.
Yeah, I think that music is an incredibly powerful way to do that, and to it can be a it could be a distraction. It can be that it allows you to dive into your feelings because you're connecting to the lyric of a story that someone is telling you, or it could be more of a sonic experience where you just really get lost in the sound. I think for me, you know, I definitely it's very therapeutic to create. Maybe more so than for me to listen because I am a creator. I think when I listen to other people's music, I'm always analyzing it. It's hard for me to turn my brain off. Like I can't fall asleep and listen to music. It's not possible for me. But if I want to, it's my form of therapy for myself and getting through any obstacles that I'm trying to overcome, or difficult times that I'm in, is to sit down and just create without worrying about what I'm trying to do. And just kind of like a painter just throwing paint at a canvas, and it's like this raw expression of self that I think is beautiful. And everyone should have a way to do that, even if you're not a creative, quote unquote, or you're not a musician, or you're not a painter, or whatever. I think there has to be a way for people to let their raw emotions out somehow. And so I'm grateful to be able to do that with my music. And there's definitely been, late nights. I'll just go in my studio and turn up the speakers really loud or headphones or whatever and find sounds that inspire me, play melodies, chords, and just explore, just let the mind and the body wander.
So beautifully said, incredibly said. I'm going back to the part where I feel like you're a perfectionist. Are you?
I am definitely a perfectionist.
I feel that, David. I feel it from my own self to students to the world that I've taught and my own children, etc. Yeah, where's that perfectionist come from?
Where does it come from? I don't know, fear of failure.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's challenging, right? To get past the perfectionist tendencies. And I've took me a long time to figure out how to do that, right? And I think that's why I didn't launch my own project for the longest time. Like I didn't even remotely consider it as a possibility. And I think a large part of that is fear of judgment. And it's a lot easier to produce something for someone else and let them deal with it and let them deal with how the public takes it or doesn't take it, and you're just
yeah,
the sidelines and you're in the back and you're behind the scenes. But when you want to go out in the limelight yourself and you want to be like, here, no, this is who I am, that's a whole other thing. You have to be ready for that, and you have to be willing to not care what people think. And so in terms of then the perfectionist aspect of it, technically, like, when is something done? And that's really not always easy to know. And sometimes you just have to force yourself into saying that it is done or it is good enough. And, because everything can always be made to be a little bit different, but are you really making it better is questionable. And there comes a point at which we make changes to small details that are only really significant to ourselves. They're not really significant to the rest of the world. And you have to start to recognize what those things are. And we've all probably seen memes of producers in the studio with the same like 8 bars of music on loop, and they were just like working on
yeah,
snare drum sound or some little minutia that no one really cares about. And like, yes, that's part of the art, and that is a necessary part of the process, but only to a certain extent, because at some point it becomes very destructive to the art and to yourself. So you have to be aware of that.
yes, 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 yes to everything you said. Yes. So that's it's tough to be a perfectionist, right?
Yeah.
It
Well, you have to control the perfectionist. It's
yes,
like,
yes.
I don't know what that's like. I can't
That's
think of else
therapy.
right now, but yeah. But that's because that's part of what makes you great.
Yeah.
But you have to know how to control it.
100%. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about the different artists that have come out now who did other people's labels, where exactly to your point, where it's much easier not to have to be raw out there, everyone looking at you, where you can write for somebody else, you can produce for somebody else. But clearly you're so talented that we need to see you and not these other stars and so forth, that, or when I say stars, other vetted artists, there's the word, that have done these amazing things. So do you feel you're more comfortable now with putting your stuff out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I started to create things that I legitimately felt were a good representation of what I want the world to see. And when
Okay.
you feel that, it becomes less and less important what the rest of the world actually thinks, because you're just happy that it's out there.
Yes. Like,
And
okay.
if you doubt what you're doing, you have no chance, because you're always going to be relying on other people to tell you that it's good enough, and it is just that's just only goes downhill, right? So you have to be like, no, you know what? I love this. I want you to hear it. I hope you like it. But if you don't, that's fine. I still love it, and it's out there, and this is who I am.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I mean, let's talk about some of the other artists, the notable artists that Nora Jones, I was talking about a moment ago. What exactly did you do with her?
Yeah. So that was that was when I was engineering at the analog studio that I worked at. So it was pretty
Okay.
right out of college. That was at the beginning of my excuse me, at the beginning of my career. Um, and yeah, we had the opportunity to mix a live album of hers, and I was assisting on that session. And we also did some overdubs for some other things. So I recorded some vocals for her.
Awesome.
Um, and that studio attracted a lot of organic, live band based
Wow.
artists, right?
Wow.
Did a lot of jazz. We did a lot of organic pop. Um, yeah, we had Nora Jones, the Gypsy Kings,
Wow.
Yoko Ono.
Wow.
Worked on her album for a few weeks as an assistant engineer, and it was incredible to be a part of that at the beginning of my career because that's that's all about harnessing human energy and then capturing it and translating it into a recorded product. And it was not so much about creativity in the sense of writing or I didn't produce for any of those people, but I was capturing their ideas. And when you get to work with such legendary artists, and you kind of you absorb how their minds work, and you absorb like the psyches around what these songs and albums are, and that's a really special thing to be around, and you can't possibly learn that, right?
Oh,
So
no, no,
um,
absolutely not.
it was
No.
great to have that as the starting point of my career to then go off and say, okay, I'm going to make music. I don't really want to capture others' music as much as, but I want to create it. Um, but it's great to see how these other artists are getting their ideas down, and watching that is great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you're working on now. So EDM music, yes.
Yeah, so Invita's releases this year, these are all commercial dance of different genres. I am because I'm also a songwriter and I am, as have a pop background. I don't like to go too experimental or dark. I like to keep things with a vocal pretty much. So most of my songs I'm working on are vocal driven dance music. Um, and I have a lot of stuff I'm really excited about that I've been playing out at my gigs, but I haven't released yet. But yeah, I've got a number of things lined up for this year for that. And
Amazing. Amazing.
uh,
Where are you? I know that you were in Miami, yeah, at Ultra. Okay.
yeah, I was at Miami Music Week, which is yeah, Ultra is kind of like the Ultra Music Festival is the culmination of Miami Music Week, which is a whole bunch of different parties and industry events. So yeah, I had the honor of DJing a few times down there at a couple of great venues, and I met some really nice, great people, and
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's hear who you met. Have you met John Summit?
I did not meet John Summit. No, met
Okay.
Armin van Buren though. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Locke was down there. Hardwell was there. I met a lot of industry people, a lot of agents, a lot of management, a lot of DJ artists that maybe a lot of people wouldn't know, but that I was happy to meet as ways to then collaborate with them in the future.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah. I was going to say, what did you take away from it for yourself for the direction that you want to go into now?
I have a spreadsheet with all kinds of color codes and combinations of people that I'm going to collaborate with or just keep as relationships for, writing a song with in the future or planning an event with in the future.
Uh-huh.
I think every time I go to something like that, I realize that the most important part of this business is who you know and being in the right place at the right time,
Oh,
because
yeah.
you can be very mediocre with the right people around you and be far more successful than a creative genius who just secludes himself or herself. So it's eye-opening every time I go to something like this, how the simple act of shaking 10 hands and then following up with those relationships and growing them, like that is most definitely what will lead you to success.
You're speaking to me. Absolutely. Yeah, my world as well. It's all about connections, connections, connections. And, someone who is a creative genius, but they don't have the ability to really network, may be to their dismay, their downfall in a way that their music can't get out as compared to, as you mentioned very eloquently, someone else who may be not as great, but has that ability to be able to use their connections in a way that can put them in a different place that they're really going for. I get, what is your aspiration? Like, what is your, like, not fame of what you want, but where would you like your music to be?
I want my music to be a household name. And
Ah,
I don't have to have my name on that piece of music. It could be something I do for somebody else. I don't really mind. Um, but I want people around the world to be like, oh, I know that song, and ideally more than just one, and whether it's they know my name or they know a song that I produced for someone else, that's what I want. I want to share a sound with the world that they haven't exactly heard before.
well,
Uh,
guess what? I want to share with my podcast with the world so we can be together. You can be doing the music for me.
okay, okay,
Because I think, like, I just get this vibe from you that you just want people to not only, of course, enjoy your music, but to feel your music and to bring and elevate them to a different place.
exactly, exactly. I've always been a very positive person. I always try to see the silver lining of any situation. I've always tried to, that's always been my mentality. And so I think, in the dance world, there's no people aren't making sad dance music. I mean, you can have emotion. There can be songs that are melancholy, but it's inherently like uplifting in some way. Even if it's super aggressive, it's still energetic. It's still like it's exciting something about your body and about like your physical and mental being. And so yeah, I want to elevate people. And it's really important to me that everything I work on has some emotional aspect that people can tap into and relate to, whether that's um, because the beauty of a melody, or if it's a lyric, or just maybe it's a silly song, but it's eloquently expressed so that you can transport yourself to a situation. It's got to move people, and I want to move people.
When you're moving me, I'm like, yeah, I'm so immersed into, and you're going to move everybody else watching and listening to this. Okay, here's my thought. Songwriting. You're smart, clearly. You're a very smart guy because you wouldn't be in this world if you were not smart. So I'll just say that you're smart. Writing music. How do I say this? When I was vocalizing and doing a lot of stuff with my international grad students and sang my whole life, Nora Jones was always, I don't know why I have to keep talking about Nora Jones, but don't know why. Just in my brain, I think I sang it a million times. Um, it's
It's a
hard.
great song. It's a great song. I wish I wrote that song. That's an amazing song.
Don't know why I didn't come. There we go.
Mhm.
Okay, that's my little
Genius.
piece. But it's hard to write music. Like, did you start writing when you were a kid? Like lyrics? Like, I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I did. So my dad and I used to play guitar together, and I don't necessarily know I wrote song with him, but I definitely, in as part of those like jam sessions, just hanging out, having fun, I would often start like humming melodies or whatever. And I definitely had like um some songs, silly snippets of songs or whatever as a kid that I would write. Again, I never really thought like I was dreaming of being a songwriter, but it totally always came out of me. And then yeah, when I was living in Europe, one of my friends was a writer and producer, and we started to write lyric and melody together for the purpose of pitching to other artists. Because especially in the DJ world, most DJs aren't songwriters. There's always a need for vocals.
Yeah.
There's always a need for somebody to actually write the song for you. I mean, there's a few exceptions, but it's rare. So anyway, it's a big market for that. So he and I were writing top lines, right? Vocal parts for people. And we had a couple placements that did quite well. And I realized that I really enjoyed that, because I mean, that's being a like a lyricist and melody writer. It's not really anything to do with the production. You're really just like writing a song that you can play on piano. But I love the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and I'm very melody driven myself. So I tend to derive my inspiration mostly through the melody. And when I have a melody, then the lyrics come to that. There's other people that they'll come in with a poem on a piece of paper and it's beautiful and that inspires the melody. And I tend to work the other direction, but there's no right or wrong, and it's just my own uh, personal path to songwriting. It's like melody, vibe, and then fit a story. Like, what does this melody want to tell me?
I love it. Where's it come from? A lot of it. Personal experiences, life.
Could be sometimes. Sometimes it's not so philosophical, though. Sometimes it's um, that you think of a cool title or you think of a phrase that his uniqueness is so
Yeah.
important in lyrics. So sometimes you'll come up with a concept that's just like, oh, this is like paper clips. Like let's write a song. Let's have the title be paper clips. We think this could be cool. What can this story be about? What is that an analogy for in our life? And what situation? Is it about love? Is it about going away to far away from your home for the first time and being scared? What is it about? It's about overcoming illness, and like, how do we want people to relate to it? But so yeah, sometimes it'll come from like a singular word or phrase as a concept. But I do enjoy when songs are written from the heart, from personal experience. I think those are the most powerful. Those are, I think, the ones that just pour out of people. I know
Yeah.
a lot of like, singer-songwriters who, they write, hundreds of songs in a year. Um, and the best ones are the ones where like they're completely heartbroken or they're just so in love with
Yes.
someone or they're
Yes.
devastated about something.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's
Oh
like
yeah.
the more powerful the emotion, I think the more like powerful the song is often.
Let's talk about something that you've written that's like that. Anything? Hmm.
Mm. I've definitely written some songs that were relating to my own emotions, but mm, I'm not sure if I have a really great example of that because I think, in my role, I'm not usually the sole writer, and especially not the vocalist. And so I like to feed the main artist's like vision. That's my role is kind of generally like giving people fuel for their own fire. So I don't think that there's really a great example of me taking my own story and then like writing a song about it.
Got it.
But maybe in the melodies, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to describe that in words.
No, no, no. You're describing it well. I mean, look, John Mayer, love him. I always think that he has moments of his own personal that turn into obviously a lot of his, where, I mean, there's so many different artists out there where personal experiences, then people, connect to it. It's all about connectivity. Like your moments of talking about the paperclip song, I'm thinking, okay, maybe we could do something with that. Being on a
Yeah,
being on a
you know,
subway, being on a subway. I actually the other day was like on a subway and I was like, the clickety clack, the motion, that's creative space in my head, that would.
but yeah, that's exactly what it is. And there's people, there's like hit songwriters that have written like incredible things that they just got an idea walking in Central Park and they wrote down puddles and they wrote down whatever. And then they're in the writing session and a few weeks later and like, oh, scrolling through some ideas and It's just this is just how things come together
Okay.
sometimes. It's
Ah,
like still very raw, like a kaleidoscope of ideas. Uh, it just has to fit together the right way,
it
right?
does. But the writing part of it, as I said, I tried in my moments to do it. And I'm like, I don't know. I got to the bridge and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this.
Right, and that happens too, you know.
It's like, geez, I don't know. And then you have to, and then what I was going to ask you as we wrap this, dreams. Do you write songs in your dream? Do you do stuff musically in your dream and you wake up and you're like, oh my God, this is
I
amazing.
have I have woken up with melodies in my head.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's been a couple times when I got up at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, and my wife was very happy with me that I was fiddling around and turning on the computer, picking up the guitar and
Yes,
dropping
I'm
things
sure.
on the floor.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure.
and,
Oh
that
my
ma-
God, that's
that makes every spouse happy when they're trying
I'm
to.
sure. I'm sure. Is she in the musical world? Is she
She is not. She is not, but she understands it well by now.
understands?
She
I love
gets
that.
it. She
She
gets
does.
it. But
Right.
yeah, I've woken up with melodies quite a few times.
Yeah, I love that. I love so what's your next trajectory? You're gonna keep doing you're gonna keep doing your gigs. I want to come to one of wherever you are. I want to
I
come.
will let you know. I will let you know. Yeah, I'm planning some exciting things for later on this year, which you'll be seeing on social media. And
Love
yeah,
that.
I've got a remix coming out on Friday for a talented young artist here in New York called
Oh,
Bianca Holiday.
nice.
Yeah, it's coming out on Friday, which I'm excited about. I've got a record that is being part of a compilation for Ibiza 2025 that's being pressed to vinyl this year, which I'm also excited about. That's going to be in stores throughout Europe starting in May. So excited for that. I've never had anything on vinyl before. Uh,
Congrats, congrats, congrats. Are you going to travel at all? Are you to do some gigs?
I'm working on some dates in Europe. Yeah, I'm not sure yet exactly, but I have a feeling there will be quite a lot of travel in the future.
I just well, I want to follow you wherever you're going. I want to,
All right, come
yeah.
on through.
Yeah, I'm looking. You have over, what am I right here? Over 11 million platforms that you're on. I mean, I think that back to our moments when you're saying you will be a household thing, 100%. I believe it. I feel it. You have this synergy, you have this light, you have this calmness. Even though I know you're hard on yourself in moments, but I think you definitely you got it, David. So I am excited for your journey, and just keep doing this music. I just like I said, music is my mental health, and I know it's your mental health. Besides music on a daily, what do you do for your mental health? Anything specific?
I go for long walks. I meditate, and yeah, I like to find quiet spaces. That's
Yeah,
very important every day.
amazing.
And gratitude in the morning.
You're saying it with me. I was about to say, and you're saying gratitude manifestation for you a little bit.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think it's really important for me to start the day off being aware of what I'm grateful for, and that really sets the tone for everything.
I love this. And you're so kind, and that just goes with it. Are you an animal lover? Why do I feel like you love animals? Do you love animals?
Yeah, I mean, I love my dog. I've had a dog for about 4 years.
All right.
I grew up
Okay.
with a cat. Yeah,
Okay. It seems like it. So where can people most find you, my friends?
yeah. Find me on social media at InvidaMusic, INVIDA Music,
Cool.
Spotify, Apple Music. Give me a follow, add me to your playlist, all the things.
You're on my playlist right now, so I'll just be putting all that out. Such cool people. I'm speaking to Don't Blink soon. Do you know who they
Cool.
are? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to come on and say hi to me wherever they are. I think they're in Ibiza. I'm going to screw that one up. But anyway, but back to you. Keep doing you. Come back another time and talk to me. I would just love that. Love, love, love. And I'm coming to your studio. I'm going to sit on that green chair. And
Do it. It's
I'm
here. It's waiting for
Yes,
you.
I'm going to sit there, mic'd out. You can do my lighting and everything else, and we're going to definitely hang out a lot. So I feel it. You're such a nice person, and thank you for your time. And enjoy the rest of your day. And everybody, check him out. He's a household word. There, I said it. You definitely are. Have a great one. Thanks, everybody. And David, we'll speak soon. Have a great afternoon.
So much. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Bye, everybody.
Bye.